What if one vision could change the destiny of an entire nation? What if a single night in Jerusalem still echoes through history? Why did Jesus quote Isaiah more than any other prophet? What secret did Isaiah see that the world still struggles to understand? Tonight, the veil between heaven and earth will be torn. Hidden in ancient pages lies a message meant for every generation. To uncover it, we must journey back across centuries, wars, and broken dreams. This is not just prophecy. It's a code that could shake the world again. Jerusalem breathes beneath a shroud of mist. The city walls loom, silent, haunted by rumors of war. Somewhere, a young man stands alone before the temple, his heart pounding with fear, hope, and a longing he cannot name. The wind howls, carrying secrets through deserted streets. Isaiah closes his eyes, praying for light in a world grown cold. Tonight, we walk with Isaiah. We stand where he stood, and what he saw may shock you. To discover the truth, we must return to the darkness, to the moment when destiny waited for a single voice to answer. When a king dies, what hope is left for his people? The night hangs heavy over Jerusalem, a fine drizzle soaking the narrow alleys, turning dust into mud beneath hurried feet. Lanterns flicker in the darkness, casting golden halos on trembling hands and anxious faces. Somewhere, deep in the royal quarter, a bell tolls, low, mournful, relentless, marking the end of an era. Inside a shadowed chamber, Isaiah stands motionless by a rain-streaked window, his heart pounding against his ribs. He listens to the city breathing, tense and restless, every sigh a silent question. What now? Beside him, Jeremiah paces, fingers drumming nervously along the cracked stone wall. The news has spread like wildfire. Uzziah, king for 52 years, the one who kept the storm at bay, is gone. A nation once held together by his strength now trembles on the edge of chaos. Outside, the markets close early. Mothers hurry their children indoors. Fathers cast wary glances at soldiers moving in the mist. Isaiah remembers his father's stories of old battles and narrow escapes, of kings anointed and kings undone. He wonders if anyone truly feels safe tonight. Even the priests in the temple whisper as they light the evening lamps, their prayers thin and wavering in the cold air. The Assyrians loom in every conversation, a threat, distant, yet suffocating. Word is, they mass on the borders, sensing weakness, waiting for Judah to falter. Inside, leaders gather in hushed circles, voices sharp and desperate. Some urge new alliances, even with nations who bow to foreign gods. Others speak of fortifying walls, raising taxes, making sacrifices. Greed and fear tangle together, tightening around the city like the damp fog outside. Isaiah's mind races. He sees the faces of ordinary people in the market, eyes rimmed red with sleeplessness, lips moving in prayer or complaint. He sees priests clutching their robes, nobles clinging to gold, soldiers polishing spears as if steel could drive out dread. He feels the burden settling on his own shoulders, a strange mixture of dread and responsibility. Jeremiah's voice cuts through the gloom. Isaiah, what will happen now? Who will guide us? For a moment, Isaiah cannot answer. The question is too big, the silence too deep. His thoughts tangle. Am I just one man? Can I do anything at all? Yet in that uncertainty, something stirs, a flicker of courage, a calling not yet spoken aloud. He remembers the scrolls his mother read by candlelight, stories of deliverance and judgment, of a people both beloved and stubborn. He wonders, can hope outlast a king? Can faith hold when the world shakes? Jeremiah touches his arm, voice low and trembling. Do you think God still listens to us, Isaiah? Isaiah gazes into the street, watching the rain trace silver lines down broken stones. His voice is soft, almost lost in the wind. I don't know, Jeremiah. Sometimes I wonder if we have drifted too far, but maybe, just maybe, this is the moment to return. The words hang in the air between them, uncertain and fragile, yet holding the weight of longing and loss. A distant thunder rolls, echoing through empty courtyards. Isaiah feels the city's fear seep into his bones, but deeper still, a quiet resolve grows. He remembers the king's long reign, years of stability, prosperity, even pride, but also the slow creep of corruption, the altars to strange gods, the hearts turned away. Was this judgment? Was it simply fate? He cannot say, but he knows the people look for answers. Someone must speak when others fall silent. The lamps outside flicker, almost snuffed by the wind, but each time the flame bends, it rises again, stubborn, refusing to die. Isaiah lets the silence settle. He closes his eyes, feeling the weight of history, the ache of grief, and the trembling hope that perhaps, in the ruins of certainty, something new can begin. The storm outside intensifies, rain drumming on the roof like the quickening beat of a fearful heart. In the street, shadows move, families hurrying home, guards tightening patrols, elders gathered beneath awnings to murmur and plan. Isaiah turns from the window, his eyes meeting Jeremiah's. Tonight, let's pray. If there is hope, if there is a path forward, it must begin with seeking God, not alliances or swords. Jeremiah nods, relief flickering across his face. They kneel on the cold stone floor, voices barely rising above the storm. Outside, the kingdom shivers, balanced between fear and faith. And somewhere beyond the clouds, a purpose waits, a calling neither boy fully understands. For Judah stands on the edge, the world holds its breath, and even the smallest light can challenge the darkness. But the story doesn't stop here. What if God broke the silence for just one man? What if, in the heart of chaos, the heavens opened and called out to a soul barely ready to answer? Isaiah steps through the massive doors of the temple, his sandals scraping the worn stones, his heart caught between dread and longing. Outside, the storm beats against the world, but within these ancient walls, the air hangs heavy, thick with incense, mystery, and memories of 1,000 prayers. A shaft of morning light pierces the gloom, slipping through a gap in the veil that guards the Holy of Holies. It dances on clouds of swirling smoke, catching the gold of the altar, trembling as if even the light itself is awed by what it beholds. Isaiah kneels, forehead to the cold floor, the silence pressing in until he can barely breathe. He remembers his own failures, every angry word, every careless act. Each moment he turned away from the God of his fathers. He hears, or imagines he hears, the whispered regrets of his people, of a nation grown numb to holiness, drifting further from the source of life. A chill runs down his spine as the silence deepens, broken only by the soft sound of his breath and the distant thunder beyond the city walls. Then a sound impossibly pure, impossibly vast, fills the temple. Voices like rushing waters singing, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of His glory." Isaiah lifts his eyes and everything changes. The walls tremble. The very foundations of the temple quake. A light so fierce he must shield his face floods the chamber. He glimpses, through trembling fingers, a throne, high and exalted, its train filling the sanctuary. Around it, fiery beings hover, 6 wings shielding eyes and feet, voices entwined in a song both terrifying and beautiful. The smoke thickens. The air vibrates with an energy that is both love and judgment, mercy and awe. Isaiah's lips quiver. His body trembles as he falls flat, undone, overwhelmed by the perfection of God. He feels his own smallness, his brokenness, more acutely than ever before. A sob escapes his chest, and he whispers, "Woe is me! I am ruined, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips, and my eyes have seen the King, the Lord Almighty." Isaiah 6:5. For a heartbeat, terror grips him. He is sure this is the end. No mortal can survive such holiness. But the song does not stop. A seraph breaks from the circle, gliding toward the altar, tongs in hand. It lifts a live coal, glowing with the fire of heaven. Isaiah's breath catches as the seraph draws near, the heat almost unbearable, the light blinding. The being presses the coal to his lips. Pain, sharp, purifying, floods him, mingled with a relief so profound it brings tears. A voice, gentle, resolute, speaks over him. See, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away and your sin atoned for. The pain fades, replaced by a peace he has never known. The fear does not vanish, but it is transformed, tempered by a call that rings clearer than thunder. Another voice fills the temple, the question echoing into eternity. Whom shall I send? And who will go for us? For a moment, all creation seems to pause. Isaiah's mind races. Who am I? What can I offer? Yet something rises in him. Hope, courage, surrender. And before he can doubt, the words tumble from his lips. Here am I. Send me. Isaiah 6:8. His own voice sounds foreign, bolder than he feels, but the silence after is full of acceptance, almost like a father's embrace. He kneels, not in terror now, but in awe and trembling purpose. The vision begins to fade, the smoke thinning, the light softening into dawn. Isaiah presses his hand to his lips, still tingling with fire, and wonders what this new calling will cost him. He is changed, no longer just a scribe or a priest's son, but a messenger, marked by both mercy and mission. Sometimes, to answer the greatest calling, we must first face our deepest weakness. We must let the light pierce our darkness, let the fire burn away what holds us back. Isaiah rises slowly, the city's cries just beyond the temple walls, the memory of holy fire burning in his soul. He knows the road ahead will not be easy, that his words may go unheard, his heart may break 1,000 times. But he is no longer alone in the shadows. He carries the light and the summons to step forward even when the way is hidden. And so the story moves onward, from the hush of heaven to the roar of a world still waiting for hope. Would you speak up knowing no one would listen? Would you give your heart to a message destined to be ignored? The fog clings low over Jerusalem, dulling even the morning sun as Isaiah steps into the chill of the city streets. His sandals echo against empty stone, each step weighed down by the memory of fire, of the voice that called him in the temple. But here, outside the holy courts, the world feels cold, indifferent, faces set, eyes averted, hearts locked away. Jeremiah waits at the edge of the square, his brow furrowed in concern. "Did you hear from the Lord?" he asks, voice barely above a whisper. Isaiah nods, words caught between hope and dread. "I am to warn them," he says, "but God says they will not listen. Their ears are closed, their eyes shut tight, hearts like stone." He looks around, vendors arranging their baskets, mothers shepherding restless children, men debating politics and price. No one looks up. No one wants to hear a warning. Not now, not ever. Jeremiah sighs, running a hand through his hair. So we speak, knowing we will be mocked, ignored? Isaiah's eyes fill with sorrow and resolve. Even if only a remnant will hear, I must speak, he says quietly. My words may pass through empty air, but hope is never wasted. The city breathes in its own rhythm, oxen lowing, merchants haggling, laughter rising and falling in pockets of warmth against the gray. Isaiah moves among them, the weight of his message heavy on his shoulders. He tries to meet their gaze, but most turn away, unwilling to risk the discomfort of prophecy. He lifts his voice, though it trembles. O people of Jerusalem, turn back before it is too late. Do not trust in alliances with foreign kings. Do not close your ears to the warnings of the Lord. For a moment, a hush falls. Then, as quickly as it came, it breaks. Someone laughs, another scoffs. The crowd flows on. Isaiah's words scatter like seeds on stone. He feels the sting of rejection, not just from strangers, but from neighbors, even from family. At night, he confides in Jeremiah, his voice a thread in the darkness. Why speak if the words will die in the air? Jeremiah, himself no stranger to loneliness, offers a bitter smile. Perhaps the words are not only for today, Isaiah. Perhaps they are for a future we cannot see. Their friendship is a quiet harbor in a sea of indifference, but the loneliness presses in, relentless. Isaiah remembers other prophets, Jeremiah among them, ridiculed, isolated, cast out by the very people they tried to save. It is the same story over and over, a calling misunderstood, a heart broken but still beating. He wonders if all who speak truth must walk this path alone. Yet, deep inside, a stubborn hope survives. Isaiah recalls the Lord's promise, though the cities be ruined, a stump, a holy seed, will remain. Isaiah 6:13. A remnant, small but enduring, like embers in the ash. In the shadows, Isaiah kneels and whispers, Lord, make me faithful, even if I am unheard. The city moves on. Lamplighters at dusk, mothers whispering lullabies, guards changing watch under a sky still choked with mist. Isaiah lingers at the edge of the market, watching his people turn away, their faces blurring into the fog. He feels the ache of doubt, the cold grip of futility, but also the quiet certainty that even a single voice lifted in truth can ripple through history. He speaks again, softer this time, but with a depth that only comes from heartbreak. To whom will you listen, Jerusalem? What will it take for you to see? His question drifts on the wind, unanswered. But hope, however fragile, remains. A lonely prophet in a city shrouded by doubt. Isaiah walks on, his heart torn but unbroken, his message echoing quietly in the spaces no one else hears. And so, as the night settles over Judah, Isaiah turns toward his next calling, ready to carry the burden of a love that will not let go, even when the world turns away. Because sometimes the greatest courage is to speak, knowing you may walk alone, trusting that somewhere in the silence a remnant will remember, and the light will find its way home. The story and the struggle move forward ever deeper into the heart of the unknown. Can hope be born in the darkest hour? A pale shaft of morning light creeps through the cracked window, tracing silver lines across a city scarred by fear and doubt. In the palace, Ahaz, king of Judah, paces in restless circles, his cloak dragging shadows behind him. Rumors of war cling to the air like mist. Advisors crowd the chamber, voices rising and falling in a symphony of anxiety. Isaiah stands quietly to the side, feeling the weight of every eye that avoids his gaze. He has come with a message, not of warning this time, but of wonder, a promise whispered from eternity. As the council bickers, Isaiah is summoned forward. Ahaz's voice trembles, a mixture of authority and fear. What sign can your God give us, prophet, when enemies press at every gate? Isaiah's voice is steady, but his heart aches for what he must say. He looks the king in the eye, then lets his words ring out, clear and impossible. The Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, the virgin will conceive and bear a son, and will call his name Emmanuel. Isaiah 7:14. A hush falls over the room, thick as fog. Skepticism flickers in Ahaz's eyes. An advisor coughs, hiding a smirk. One whispers, "How can such things be? Who ever heard of a virgin bearing a child?" Another laughs. Prophets and their riddles. We need armies, not fairy tales. Isaiah stands his ground, the words burning on his lips. He sees not just the king's disbelief, but the deeper ache behind it, the longing for hope, the terror of a world slipping beyond control. Even his friend Jeremiah, waiting at the palace gate, looks at him with worry, unsure if faith can survive ridicule. Outside, the city remains battered, weary, clinging to old comforts. Isaiah walks alone through narrow streets, the king's court behind him, the future unknown. He passes broken walls, children playing in the dust, their laughter a single stubborn melody in a city of sorrow. The motif of hope appears, faint but persistent, like sunlight after rain. A baby's cry drifts from an open doorway. A mother hums softly, rocking her child in the half-light, her face aglow with the simple miracle of new life. Isaiah pauses, watching this scene, a world wounded, yet love endures. He understands hope doesn't arrive with trumpets or chariots. It comes quietly, through the faith of those who dare to believe in the impossible. God's answer is not always what the world expects, not a legion of angels, but a child. Not a warrior king, but Emmanuel, God with us. Centuries will pass before the fullness of this sign is seen. But the promise takes root now, in the hearts of the humble, the mocked, the desperate. Isaiah's prophecy will echo far beyond his lifetime. One day, in a manger, another child will be born in Bethlehem. He too will be called Emmanuel, a sign to both Jew and Gentile that God steps into history not with power, but with presence. For those who feel overlooked, doubted, or dismissed, this is the lesson. Real hope grows in unexpected places. It is found not in the halls of power, but in small homes, in broken streets, in every heart that chooses to trust. Even now, as Isaiah walks home beneath a sky beginning to clear, a faint rainbow arches over the city, a silent covenant, a reminder that God keeps His word. The city may laugh, leaders may scoff, but hope has already entered the story. It begins not with certainty, but with a promise, whispered in the darkest hour, shining just enough to lead the way forward. Isaiah breathes deep, the distant sound of children's laughter lingering in his ears. He wonders who will remember these words, who will dare to believe that the impossible is possible. And so the journey moves on, from palace intrigue to the quiet streets, from scorn to the seed of faith, as the promise of Emmanuel lights a new dawn for all who are willing to see. Why would God choose a servant destined for suffering? Isaiah trembles as the vision unfolds before him, more vivid than any dream, more real than waking life. A sudden chill sweeps through the chamber as if the air itself recoils from what is about to be revealed. Darkness pulses at the edges, but a strange, shifting light flickers across stone, cold, unyielding, stained crimson by suffering. He sees the servant, not a mighty king or warrior, but a figure bowed beneath the weight of a world's grief. Chains bite into his wrists. His back bears the angry marks of whips. Every blow echoes with the pain of countless hearts. Isaiah flinches at the sound of leather striking flesh, at the jeers and spittle hurled by the crowd. The servant does not answer. He does not fight back. Instead, he absorbs the shame, the violence, the hatred like a sponge drinking in rain. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. Like one from whom men hide their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. Isaiah 53:3. Isaiah's heart breaks within him. Why this pain? Why must the innocent suffer so deeply, so silently? He cries out inside, his mind swirling with protest and confusion. Is this really the chosen one? Should not God's anointed be honored, victorious, shining with power and light? But the vision shows only deeper humiliation. The servant staggers beneath the weight of a wooden beam. Blood trails behind him, vivid against the gray stone. He is pierced, hands and feet, torn by nails the world has not yet imagined. Crowds gather not to mourn, but to mock. Isaiah shudders at their laughter, at the darkness that closes in, but the vision will not let him look away. He hears the words in his spirit. He was wounded for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon him, and by his wounds we are healed. Isaiah 53:5. The motif of suffering and silence returns, each lash, each insult, a refrain. Isaiah feels the weight of 1,000 years pressing down, the sorrow of every injustice, every broken promise, every sin. How can this be the way of hope? He dares to challenge God in the quiet of his soul. Why this path, Lord? Why should pain redeem joy? But then, as the vision reaches its bleakest moment, something changes. The light flickers, wavers, but does not go out. A whisper of dawn slides across the scene, a promise hidden within agony. The servant's body lies still, bruised and lifeless, but the darkness cannot hold him. Isaiah senses a shift, a trembling in the fabric of time itself. Death is not the end. He glimpses resurrection, the impossible victory, life breaking through like the first rays of morning. His breath catches as he sees the unthinkable. The suffering servant is also the triumphant one. From this well of agony flows redemption, not only for Israel, but for all nations. Centuries later, in a quiet stable in Bethlehem and on a rough cross outside Jerusalem, these words will find their echo. Jesus, the Christ, fulfills this vision in ways Isaiah could scarcely comprehend. His life, death, and resurrection, a living answer to the question no one dared to ask. How could a prophecy so specific, so impossible, be written centuries before its fulfillment? Only by the hand of God. Isaiah's mind reels with awe and fear, gratitude and wonder. He understands that real love is not proven by power, but by sacrifice. Real hope is not born in palaces, but in the shadow of the cross. This vision, impossible as it seems, is the hinge of history, the moment when suffering and salvation are forever intertwined. Isaiah's heart aches with both sorrow and hope, his eyes brimming with tears as the vision fades. He whispers, "Who has believed our message, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed?" Isaiah 53:1. He rises, changed, marked by what he has seen. The light and the darkness, suffering and joy will remain with him always. The world outside is still the same. Cold wind, distant thunder, shadows moving over stone. But within Isaiah, a new fire is kindled, a certainty that through sacrifice, even the deepest wounds can heal. And so, with the memory of the suffering servant burning in his spirit, Isaiah prepares to share a hope greater than any pain, a promise that even death cannot break. The story, like the light, will not end here. Could death itself be defeated? Isaiah stands at the edge of despair, heart still pounding with the echoes of pain, the memory of a suffering servant now silent in death. Night hangs heavy over Jerusalem, shadows wrapped around the ancient stones, but in the east the darkness begins to shift. A single bird sings in the hush before dawn. From somewhere beyond the walls, the first rays of light creep into the city, brushing the rooftops with gold. Isaiah's breath catches as the vision unfolds anew, more astonishing than anything he has seen. The tomb that once held the broken body is empty. A gentle radiance fills the air, soft but unstoppable, spilling over cold stone, chasing away the remnants of fear. He sees the servant alive, no longer bowed by sorrow, no longer chained by death. His wounds are visible, yet transformed, scars now shining with a light that cannot be quenched. Isaiah blinks, unsure if he dares believe. Is it possible, after such loss, for hope to return? Can joy be born from ashes? A voice rises, clear as dawn. After he has suffered, he will see the light of life and be satisfied. Isaiah 53:11. The words settle over Isaiah like dew, gentle and certain, promising that pain is not the final word. In the vision, the city wakes, the ancient gates swing open, and people begin to fill the streets, faces bathed in the fresh glow of morning. Children chase each other across the market square, their laughter carrying on the breeze. A woman kneels to tie a sandal, looking up to see wildflowers blooming between the cracks of old stone. Everywhere, signs of new life break through where only sorrow had been. Isaiah's soul stirs with awe. He remembers the valley of dry bones, the hopeless moments, the nights when tears would not stop. But now he witnesses the impossible, love stronger than hatred, life rising from death, light overcoming darkness. The servant who suffered now stands victorious, a living bridge between God and humanity. This is hope that cannot be crushed. It is hope for all who grieve, all who doubt, all who have buried dreams and wondered if dawn would ever come. Isaiah realizes the vision is not just for his people, but for every generation. The promise of resurrection is woven into the world, into every sunrise, every forgiven heart, every story where loss is met by love. He wants to shout, to weep, to fall to his knees in gratitude for what God has done defies imagination. He sees now why the pain was necessary, why the sacrifice could not be avoided. Out of deepest darkness, the truest light is born. He remembers the old prophecies. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. Isaiah 9:2. It is not just poetry, but reality, one that Isaiah now carries within his own story. The sun climbs higher, painting the fields beyond Jerusalem with colors that shimmer and dance. A chorus of birds joins the song of the morning. Isaiah lingers at the window, watching as hope spreads like wildfire, unstoppable and free. The vision fades, but its promise lingers. A fire kindled in the heart, a courage to rise, to believe, to walk forward even when the night has been long. For in the end, death is not the last enemy. Life, God's own life, breaks through, and nothing will ever be the same. Isaiah turns from the vision, the light still on his face, and steps into a new day, ready to share the news that can change the world. Hope is alive, and no darkness can overcome it. And as the story unfolds, the dawn becomes more than just a promise. It becomes a living testimony that love and life win again and again. The journey moves on, carrying the light into places still waiting for morning. What if this prophecy is unfolding before our eyes? Isaiah stands on the highest hill outside Jerusalem, the ancient city glowing in the late afternoon light, his eyes fixed on a vision that stretches far beyond walls or borders. All around him, the world stirs, a river of humanity, people of every tribe, tongue, and color walking together toward a distant, radiant horizon. The sound of footsteps blends with music rising in the air, bells ringing out in celebration, hope swelling with every note. It is as if creation itself holds its breath, waiting for the dawn of a world made new. Isaiah watches as old enemies walk side by side, hands unarmed, faces lifted, burdens left behind. Children dart between the crowds, laughter ringing like the clearest bell. Women drape bright fabrics over their shoulders. Men carry olive branches and baskets of bread. No one is a stranger here. Every nation has a place. The motif is unmistakable, a mosaic of cultures, all drawn by the same light, gathering in peace beneath the canopy of heaven. Isaiah's heart swells with awe. He remembers the wars, the cries of widows, the endless cycle of pain that has marked his people's story. He thinks of the questions whispered in every generation. Will peace ever come? Will the promises hold true? Now, in this vision, the answer shines clear as the sun. He hears the echo of his own words written long ago. He will swallow up death forever. The sovereign Lord will wipe away the tears from all faces. He will remove his people's disgrace from all the earth. The Lord has spoken. Isaiah 25:8. In this world, there is no more mourning, no more dividing lines. Swords are melted into plowshares. Old wounds become stories of mercy and healing. Isaiah sees pilgrims arriving from distant lands, some whose nations still in his day stand at war or in turmoil. He thinks of the struggles of his own time, of empires rising and falling, of the restless uncertainty that sweeps across the earth even now. Modern news flashes by, Headlines from Jerusalem, Tehran, cities gripped by fear or hope. But the prophet senses something greater at work, the flow of history bending ever closer to fulfillment. He knows that the journey is not yet complete. The world still aches. People still cry out for justice and belonging. But the promise is alive, moving through every generation, calling each person to play their part. Isaiah's vision is not only for kings or prophets, but for every heart willing to hope. In the great procession of history, every step matters, every act of kindness, every bridge of forgiveness, every risk to love or trust. These are the bricks that build the future God has promised. He wants to reach out, to join the march himself, to lift his voice in the chorus of those who believe that the world can be healed. He wonders, do we see ourselves in this vision? Do we dare to believe that we are part of something bigger than ourselves? The bells ring louder, their sound carrying across valleys and seas, through bustling cities and quiet villages, into homes where families gather, into hearts still searching for meaning. Isaiah feels the Spirit whisper, "This is not the end." The story is still unfolding, and so the prophet invites us across the centuries to take our place in the great procession, to become peacemakers, dreamers, builders of hope. For one day, all nations will gather and every tear will be wiped away just as promised. Until that day comes, we walk forward, step by step, toward the light that never fades, toward a future woven by God's own hand. And as the sun dips low, the bells still echo, calling all people home, as the promise of Isaiah resounds in a world waiting to be made whole. In every age of chaos, there is a voice searching for meaning. Isaiah's journey is not just the story of an ancient prophet. It is the story of all who have ever faced darkness and still longed for dawn. Through city ruins and shadowed temples, through visions of pain and impossible hope, Isaiah dared to believe that every promise of God would one day come true. He saw with his own eyes that no matter how deep the night, light always finds a way to rise. And so his words echo still, from dusty scrolls to beating hearts. Du bong toi sao jen jiao, an sang van tang that. Moi loi chua hua jo tan su that, trong lit su, trong joy ban, trong tuong lion han loai. If you were Isaiah, would you speak hope when cynicism rules the world? What prophecy, what calling is planted in your life today? Can you see it? A field of wildflowers blooming after the storm, the golden haze of sunrise chasing away shadows, bells ringing out across new beginnings. What if you are the voice that carries hope to someone else's darkest night? Because every dawn begins in silence, in the cold before the light. But every dawn is proof that the story is not over. Let Isaiah's vision remind you, you are called to stand, to speak, to trust that even the smallest flame can break through endless gloom. If this story has moved you, share your thoughts below. Subscribe for more cinematic journeys through the Bible. Let's keep walking together, searching for light, daring to hope. And as the bells ring and the sun rises on fields made new, remember, just as the first light broke the darkness in Isaiah's vision, so hope breaks through for every heart willing to listen. The journey continues, one new dawn at a time.